Well, good Monday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. We have weather to talk about tonight, and most of it coming from continuing to talk about those mostly dry conditions as we continue throughout the rest of the week. Also, talking about our warm to well above normal temperatures, near record highs. We're talking about near record highs again as we get Tuesday through Saturday, and low humidity and lingering fire weather concerns remain a factor all the way throughout this week into the weekend. So, make sure, if you want to stay up to date with this information, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so we can go on and get to our main goal of 800. And then also so you can continue to receive free weather forecasts that does not cost you a penny to watch. So let's go on and talk about what's currently going on. Well, currently, if we go on and look at the live radar, right now, nothing going on right now throughout the entire state of South Carolina, which nobody should be shocked about. We are expecting no rainfall at all. So that's what we're looking at right now. And if we go on and look at the entire U.S., it's a mess. It is a mess. We have rainfall going on over here inside of, like Tennessee, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. And then maybe even some rainfall over here in the Four Corners area. Rainfall up here inside of the Washington, the Oregon areas, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota. But the main thing that I'm looking at is up here in the Great Lakes region. Look at this. We have severe thunderstorms right now going throughout Minnesota. We have rainfall and severe storms going throughout Wisconsin. We have severe storms going on throughout Michigan. Detroit. Yeah, at least the southern parts of Detroit are inside of a severe thunderstorm warning right now. Downtown Detroit is receiving some wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour right now, just to the north of Lansing. Michigan, there's some severe weather. Green Bay, Wisconsin's in a severe thunderstorm warning for 60 mile per hour winds and ping pong ball sized hail. We have tornado warnings going on in Minnesota. So overall, it's a lot of things going on right now throughout the upper Great Lakes area and the upper Midwest. Now, if we go in and look at our cloud cover, we do have some cloud cover right now going throughout the eastern parts of the state, from the Low Country to the PD to the Grand Strand areas. Now, if you look up there inside of the upstate, you do see some clouds here and there, but they're not as much as maybe the Low Country or the Grand Strand or the PD areas. Looking at this for the future as well, we go in and push this forward all the way into tonight, going into tomorrow morning. Look at how we clear out as we get into tomorrow morning. Now, cloud cover will be trying to make a little bit of a return as we get into tomorrow afternoon. This is noon. And then as we get into around 5 p.m., look at this cloud cover rebounding as we get into Tuesday night. We get into Wednesday morning, going into Wednesday afternoon. We see cloud cover still going on, but it's definitely moving its way east more and more and more. Now, as we go in and look at our current temperatures right now, we have around 65 in Summerville, 67 in Charleston, as well as 68 in Beaufort, 68 Hilton Head Island, as well as 66 in Georgetown, 66 in Murray's Inlet, and 66 in Myrtle Beach, 65 Conway, and 66 in North Myrtle Beach, 69 in Orangeburg, and 70 in Columbia, 69 Aiken, and 67 in Greenwood, 69 in Sumter, and just as we move our way up into the upstate, 68 from Spartanburg to Gaffney, and 67 over in Greenville, Lawrence, 70 in Clemson. Air quality, looking like that we are mostly good, but there is a little area near Florence to where it's moderate. Not bad, but if you're out for a long period of time tonight, make sure that you are aware of that. Low temperatures for tonight, we have pretty much 50s across the board, from 58 to Greenville to Spartanburg, Rock Hill, Columbia, Sumter, 55 Barnwell, 57 in Moncks Corner, 60s near the coastal areas, so 61 in Charleston and 63 in Hilton Head Island. High temperatures for tomorrow, 80s across the board, except for maybe near the coastal areas where we see 77 in Myrtle Beach, 83 in Georgetown, even around a good 80 inside of Charleston, 80 Hilton Head Island, and maybe our first 90 of the season. Our first 90 of the season could happen tomorrow, as the forecasted temperature for Columbia is 90 degrees. So we'll see how this plays out, but high 80s across most of the inland areas as we go into tomorrow, with a potential 90 in the Midlands. Rainfall is not expected at this time, so you don't have to bring any rain gear with you. And in terms of the crazy score, if you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how active our conditions are throughout the entire state of South Carolina. So right now we are at a 7. We are at a 7. And you might be asking, well, why? Mainly because, well, mostly clear skies as we get into tonight, mild overnight lows, light winds, dry conditions. Everything is looking pretty good as we go into tonight. SPC outlook for tonight, tomorrow, and for Wednesday were good. No thunderstorms are expected as we get into the next 3 days. And fire weather. Obviously, we had this risk earlier today. This was for during the daytime over just north of Rock Hill. I think Tega Cay was included in there. I know Lake Wiley was in there as well. And Boiling Springs, South Carolina was also included in there. But now, we're going to have to look for tomorrow. Look at tomorrow. Tomorrow comes along, and we have an even bigger risk tomorrow with fire weather for Tuesday, April the 14th, 2026. I said this fire weather will continue to on-go, and you can see it up there in the very far upstate Greenville, Spartanburg, Rock Hills included. So make sure that you are not burning anything up there inside the upstate if you're in the orange area here. And that's mainly just because obviously we have dry conditions and it hasn't rained in a long time throughout some of these areas. So make sure that you are aware. Make sure if you are burning something, or if you absolutely have to burn something, that you're keeping precautions and make sure that you're paying attention to it. But if you don't have to tomorrow, don't have to burn anything, just don't do it. I wouldn't recommend it. Excessive rainfall is not expected at this time. So let's go and look at the models. We're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. And as we push this forward, what do you see? Nice dry conditions as we go throughout Tuesday, going into Wednesday. And even as we go into like that Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon time frame, nice and dry, not a single drop of rainfall, which is not great from a drop perspective, but great for like times outdoors, spending time with family outside, getting work done outside, whatever it may be. It's just going to be nice as we get into tomorrow and Wednesday. Now, what about for the long-term future? Well, we're obviously going to continue to be talking about dry conditions not only throughout just Wednesday, but through Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday comes along. Sunday doesn't really look too active either. Maybe some rainfall like later on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. We may be talking about something here. But for the most part, it's looking like that it's mainly going to be more on the isolated to widely scattered side. Now, as we move further into next week, now we're Monday, April the 20th, and again, we're still not seeing anything too active. We're still seeing mostly dry conditions throughout the state all the way through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday comes along, still dry, Friday, Saturday. I mean, we don't see anything until not next weekend, but the weekend after. Maybe Saturday, Sunday, looking for a cold front to try and move through as we get into like April the 26th and the 25th, somewhere around there. So a long time with no rainfall is still on the table for us. And if we go on and look and see how much rainfall we're going to get before that cold front moves through, which is 300 hours away, or probably a bit after that. How much rainfall? For a lot of us, not a drop. Still. I mean, we're 300 hours out into the future, and a lot of us still haven't even seen a drop of rainfall. Probably the majority, or like the majority of the more top precipitation levels is probably going to be around 0.15, somewhere around there. That's around where I see it maxing out at. So around 0.15 is what I'm seeing in terms of the max throughout the next 300 hours. That's a long time with no rainfall. And if you go and look at the WPC's forecast for the next 7 days, they are still on the train of no rainfall throughout the next 7 days. So continue to just ride out this drought, continue to just go on and, water things accordingly, making sure your plants are, good, making sure grass is good, yard work is good, wherever outside that deals with rainfall. Make sure that you are keeping that all in mind, because we still are looking like that we are still going to be dry as we continue throughout the next 300 hours or so. And, definitely a complete opposite. Like if you look over there in Arkansas, 11 inches over there. I see, 10.95, 10.92, so they're getting a lot of rainfall over there. If we got that rainfall, obviously I wouldn't want it to be in a short period of time, but I would want that rainfall over here if it was, kind of like stretched out throughout the 300-hour mark. I definitely would want that, because that would easily take this drought down. Maybe not all the way. Maybe not all the way, but 10 inches of rainfall throughout a 300-hour mark, that would be some good rainfall right there to get. Again, not wishing for any sort of flash flooding or anything like that. And, precipitation wise, so we're not too lucky there. But what about for temperatures? And Mr. Chris just put inside the chat. Please make sure if you do anything outside, make sure you do it early and avoid the heat. Well, we're getting into that right now because if we go in and look at this is Tuesday. Look at this. We're definitely warmer than average, but look as we get into Wednesday. Still 10 to 15 degrees, maybe even 20 degrees above average in some spots as we get into Wednesday. We get into Thursday, back to that 15 to 20 degrees above average. We go into Friday. Just all the way up. And so this is going to be a warm end to the week. We're talking about 90s, and I've even seen some models saying high 90s. High 90s, I know. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on this, but anomalies are showing a nice end to the week, a hot end to the week. If you want cool weather, definitely not great for you, but if you're a warm weather fan, a hot weather fan, this is definitely what you want to see. Now, as you continue through the cold, we have like a little dry cold front trying to make its way through. As we get into Sunday, that's where some of that shower activity comes through, but again, it's not going to bring much to really like drought us in anything with any sort of rainfall to help this drought out. Now, as we get into Monday, we get into Tuesday, we get into Wednesday, things start to kind of just level out a little bit, but we still are looking at warmer temperatures trying to kind of infiltrate its way through every so often. And then as we get into the week after next week, warmer temperatures kind of just get taken over again. My cooler temperatures, another cold blast potentially coming through as we get into the week after next week. So we're going to keep all of this in mind in terms of the actual anomalies, but what about the actual temperatures? Well, we're going to start off here on Tuesday. We move into Wednesday, and those temperatures get all the way up into the 80s, into the 90s, into Wednesday. We get into Thursday, we all the way up and reaching even some 90s as well. We get into Friday, we're talking about temperatures all the way up into the 90s, widespread 90s as we get into Friday. Then as we get into Saturday, all the way up again into the 90s again. Sunday, up into the 80s, but then that cold front will come through and will knock our temperatures down as we continue going into the week after. And we get through Monday, April the 20th. Now we're talking about 70s, nothing really too much in terms of 80s and 90s, but do not worry, those 80s will be back. Those 80s will be back as early as next week, Wednesday. We get through Thursday and Friday, and what do you see? Still 80s, but trust me when I say 90s will be coming back. Obviously, we know that we're getting closer and closer to spring and summertime. So, well, summertime, I should say. We're already in springtime. And for the most part, that's all I have to say here. We can go in and look at the ensembles real quick, though, just to make sure that we are looking at actual trend and looking at what's going on in terms of the actual mean temperatures. But we start off here on Tuesday, going into Wednesday, and you're seeing even temperatures the week after next week looking pretty up in terms of averages, averaging into like the low to mid 80s, maybe probably more lower 80s. But the fact that we're seeing that on ensembles, meaning that a lot of models agree 80s are coming in full force as we get into next week even, and then you can definitely start to see that cool down try to happen as we get into the week after. But that's all that I can see here throughout the state for our future, so let's make sure that we covered everything. Seems like mostly dry conditions continue, warm to well above normal temperatures dominate. Near record highs are possible by Tuesday, tomorrow through Saturday, and then low humidity and lingering fire weather concerns. So, yeah, we pretty much got all of that covered. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's just see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, YouTube's taking a little bit. But we got it. It starts off with Mount Lulu, who was here first. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. And then Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for that. And then Mount Lulu says, hopefully everyone had a great day. I did. Mr. Chris says, got you around 84 degrees here in Moncks Corner. Currently it's 69. Well, at my house today, seems like right now that it is around a good 67, and the high temperature for today was around 81. Continue our way down. He also says, please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's free and it helps the channel grow and gets vital information out. He's absolutely correct. Right now, we've had around a good 9 people tune in, and we only have 5 likes. So if you're a part of that group of 4 that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. It's free, and you don't have to pay a dime, and it helps me out, helps you out as well, because it helps me get out that better content. That says, good evening, just from the 360 Weather family. I trust all is well with everyone. All is well with me. And then Mount Lewis says, today in Georgetown, we did get a little cloudy, but no rain. Mount Lewis says, today's high was around 78 degrees. Thank you so much for that weather report. And then Thad says it was another beautiful day here in San Antonio. Plenty of sunshine and mild temperatures. We didn't get as much rain as we would have liked, but we are thankful nonetheless. Mount Lewis says, actually, I think I already... No, I didn't. She says currently it's 68. And then Mr. Chris is looking forward to some more of this gorgeous weather. We did have a beautiful warm day. Thad says again, we enjoyed a high of around 90. It was very mild 90 with the overcast in place throughout the day. Mr. Chris says, the only thing I wish is my neighbor would stop with the burning. You know, they haven't put in, an official burn ban, so technically still can burn, but for the most part, it looks like that more fire threat is up more into the upstate, more than in like the low country area. So you're not in the worst of the areas, but just if you can, just make sure that he's being careful with it. Make sure that you know what to do, just in case something does happen and you have to get out the area. You have to save stuff, whatever it is. Just in case if it does get out of control, just always make sure that you're prepared. That says the pollen is back and we are allergic to everything outside. LOL. Well, I think that for South Carolina, at least for where I am, I think we're mostly done with it. Then continue our way down even more. Let me continue down. Mount Lewis says today was a marvelous in spite of the little clouds we had. That says I had an amazing day out in my garden. We have over 10 passion fruits flowering on the vine. And then all that rain in other places, we sure could use it here. We absolutely could. Mr. Chris says, I've been watching some of the storm chases and saw some tornado warnings going on. Yeah, they're going on up there inside of Minnesota right now. I think there's around 2 up there right now. 5 tornado warnings. One of them's observed in Iowa. One of them's in Kansas. 2 of them are in Kansas. One's in Kansas and Missouri, and the other one's also in Kansas as well. So we have a lot of stuff going on there, and honestly, I know we obviously do need the rainfall, but let's be glad that we don't have any severe weather going on right now. Wow, 7, that's awesome. Trail says, greetings, everyone, greetings to you. Then Mr. Chris says, please make sure that if you do anything outside, make sure you do it early and avoid the heat. That's what we said earlier. Already cut my grass again just to be ahead of it. Everyone, please remember to stay safe and hydrated and watch the heat. Absolutely. WFIN News, or 2 News says, I'm a teen meteorologist for the upstate of South Carolina, although I mainly focus on news and weather for the upstate independently. Well, glad to see that you are here for the first time. And, doing what I'm doing. Being a teen, going out and showing your talent, showing your weather expertise that you do have. That's going to put you in a really good position. So I am glad that you are doing that. But welcome to the channel, though. Welcome to the channel. And then Milo says no pollen in Georgetown. And that's all that I can see here. So let's go on now and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. Thank you to everybody who did comment, by the way. Thank you to everyone who did. And we'll give y'all and the top fans, obviously, a round of applause in about 2 to 3 minutes. But first, let's go on and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 areas outside of South Carolina, what am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we're going to give them their forecast for them. So starting off with San Antonio first, you have low temperatures tonight at 70, high temperature for tomorrow at 83, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 69. No precipitation is expected at this time until around Wednesday, but that's really your only day until possibly this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You also have a chance of showers and storms then as well. Now, in terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall, I will say for right now that you are, you're not really in the clear, but you kind of are. Thunderstorms definitely are still possible, but nothing severe-wise. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, it does seem like that you are most likely done with excessive rainfall throughout the next 5 days or so. Now, for your future, in terms of temperature-wise, it looks like that you are going to continue to stay in those 80s. In fact, you may even try to warm up and try and get into the 90s by the time you get into Friday. But Saturday comes along, and then Sunday, and it's a downward spiral down into the 70s as you get into this weekend going into early next week. Then for Raleigh, you have low temperatures tonight at 62, high temperature for tomorrow at 89, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 64. No rainfall is expected at this time. Dry conditions remain, and you're not going to see any rainfall throughout the next 7 days. Temperature-wise, you're going to continue to kind of just stay up in the 90s. You may even see 95 degrees on Saturday. Now for Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 61, high temperature for tomorrow at 86, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. No rainfall is expected until around Wednesday night. And in terms of your temperatures are going to continue to kind of rise up into the 90s. We're talking about 91 on Wednesday, 90 on Thursday, 85 on Friday, and then you'll kind of be, again, kind of trending down in terms of temperatures as you get into this weekend. It seems like most of us will try to. Severe weather, excessive rainfall-wise, seems like that you are good there. And then in terms of, I did forget to mention one thing for Raleigh, that is for tomorrow, you also have an elevated risk of fire weather as you get into Tuesday. So just make sure you're not burning anything tomorrow. Wouldn't recommend it. And then finally, for the final location being Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperatures tonight at 66, high temperatures for tomorrow at 82, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 63. Severe thunderstorms are still possible tonight, as right now, if I go in and look over at you, you seem like that you're in the clear. I don't see any rainfall around you really in general. You have a severe thunderstorm warning that's down in Texas, but it's moving its way up towards the north and east, which is kind of towards you. So, still be on the lookout for it. But for right now, it looks like that nothing's impacting you now. Tonight was really only your marginal risk. Your main day is going to be tomorrow and Wednesday, to where you have a slight risk of severe weather tomorrow. That does come with a 5 or a 2% hatch risk of tornadoes, meaning you have a 2% chance of tornadoes, and some of those tornadoes could potentially be EF2 or higher. And then you also have a 15% chance of damaging winds. That's a 15% chance of wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour or greater. And then hail as well, hail being the main threat, of 15% risk with a hatch risk, meaning that some of that hail could potentially be 2 inches in diameter. And then as you go into Wednesday, same thing, a 15% hatch risk, meaning that you have another day of potential significant severe weather on Wednesday. And then Friday comes along, and that slight risk is still there. So make sure that you are aware of that. Nothing fire-related, though, but a lot going on for you. So make sure that you are aware. Make sure you're prepared for any sort of severe weather, tornado warnings that pop up, because you definitely don't want to mess around with any storm. We take every storm risk here seriously, no matter if it's a 2%, a 1%, or a 0.001%. Doesn't matter. Now, for your future, temperature-wise, seems like that you're going to stay in the 80s maybe until this weekend, kind of like with everybody else. And rainfall-wise, you're going to be active, not only throughout the rest of the week, but potentially as you go into next week. And that's all that I can see here. So, excessive rainfall-wise, you have maybe an isolated chance of flash flooding tomorrow, but that's the only thing I see there. What's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise, though? Well, right now, let me go and move you over here. Looks like right now that Super Typhoon Sinlaku will bring devastating or destructive winds, widespread heavy rain / flooding, thunderstorms, and coastal impacts to the Marianas Islands into Wednesday, while typhoon conditions are likely over the northern the northern islands as well. Severe thunderstorms and heavy rainfall are expected from the southern plains to the Great Lakes through Tuesday, and heavy snow is expected into the Pacific Northwest. So a lot of things going on throughout the U.S. Obviously, we have severe weather going on right now up there. We've been talking about Minnesota, Iowa, Kansas, up there in Wisconsin, in Michigan near Detroit. Fire weather going on in the central parts, and then also over there in the Rockies, with freezing condition potentially trying to come back over there in the west. And that's all that I can see here. Let me go on and check out the chat one more time. WFIN2 News says, thank you. I'm doing local news and weather until I can pursue my future career as a news anchor / reporter and work at the WYFF4 in Greenville. Well, do wish you luck in that. Yeah, and continue to tune in. Definitely continue to tune in. I would love to hear, how your stuff's going, how the growth is going over there. So definitely continue to tune in. And obviously, with it, like I said earlier, doing it on YouTube, that's a great start. That's definitely a great start. The amount of meteorologists that I've talked to that said that they think that it's amazing that I'm doing this online and I'm getting this early start early is, you can't do nothing else better than that. So continue doing what you're doing. And then Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. And that's all that I can see here throughout the chat for me. So let's go on now and end this off. Top fans of the night for tonight. Seems like it was around, still kind of like that 3 area of Mr. Chris, Mount Lula, and then Thad. Between them 3. Let's go on and count them up. I see around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let me count this one up. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. So Mr. Chris definitely did win it for tonight. And then Maya Lula got number 2. And then Thad got number 3. So congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. Again, if you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m., being here early, being a subscriber, and then also being active. Because if you are active, you have a good chance of going on and getting into the top fans. So let's go on and give them 3 rounds of applause. And everybody who typed tonight. And that's all I have to say. So make sure you tune in tomorrow morning for your Tuesday morning forecast update and tomorrow evening for your Tuesday evening forecast update. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Make sure you hit those 2 buttons before you leave.